Who else gets that? I mean, New England.
Okay, there's 3 teams.
Yeah.
Yep. There are more fan bases upset with you than just 3.
I know there is.
Maybe 23.
Oh, maybe. You're right. Maybe 23, maybe 29, maybe 31. I don't know. It depends on the day. I will talk crap about your team. No, if they play crappy, I don't care. I don't play favorites.
Fair.
Right.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm gonna be fair about it. I mean, I talk crap about my family members when they do things I don't like.
We were just doing that.
We were.
That was the lead up to this show.
Exactly right. So, all right, we got a good one. Chris Simms, Paulie, Burmeister in the building, man. Looking fresh again, like the white kicks.
What do you do when it's fall? Like it's not winter yet, still fall? For socks when you're wearing tennis shoes? Do you wear like longer athletic socks or you go footy?
I do. I go longer. I got some black Nike socks on.
What's your tattoo of?
And that's my Longhorn there.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
A little Longhorn there. But I go long socks. And Paul, I will put on like in another month or so.
Yeah.
I will put long johns on every morning, like underneath this. Even when it starts to get like.
Don't you get like hot and sweaty?
I don't know what it is, but in the morning I'm cold and I just want to put it on. So I'll start putting long johns and put the socks over the long johns.
Yeah.
And it at times can lead to a little bit hot, but.
Footies, long johns, talking shit about your family.
Doing it all today, baby. Yeah.
We're like 2 minutes in.
Well, Dad's not on the podcast today, so him. Let's talk shit about him. But we got a good one today.
We do.
What the happened?
Yep.
We got a lot of games to break down, and I'll let you take it from here, wherever you want to go.
First of all, before we get into the X's and O's of it, how did you like just the dynamic of inside your house in the evening, Tuesday night football?
Loved it.
Right? It was great.
Loved it.
Hate the reason.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too excited about it because obviously it's only happening for negative reasons. But the earlier kick
Yes.
and having it on while you're still having a little bit of the Sunday, Monday hangover, no football.
Right.
It's there to relieve you when it's not like too dark out.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
I know, right? You kind of like making dinner, eating dinner.
Yeah.
You're sitting there watching the game. I agree. One of the things I said on the show this morning with Florio is I want games every night of the week. I really do. This is proving that we can do it.
Wouldn't be too much?
I don't think it would be. Now, maybe I don't know if it's going to get like ratings extravaganza on a Wednesday night, but still going to be more people than whatever that station's going to watch on a normal Wednesday night. That's for sure.
It's, of course, a better ratings number. So if you could only pick one, if they came to you before the next broadcast contract and said, would you rather have Tuesday or Thursday night, what would you pick?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Just based off last night, I think
I'd go Tuesday. I think I would too. Yeah.
It felt nice coming off the weekend.
It did. It does. It's great. You probably feel the same way, just to be able to sit and watch one game.
Right.
Because Sunday is it's a mosh pit in your brain. I'm stressed the whole day because I'm like, wait, did I see everything that happened in that game? No, I didn't.
None of us did.
Will I be able to talk intelligently about it the next morning? Right. So I'm stressed the whole night, right? Because I'm like, I know I don't know some of the things that went on in that game. All I know is looking at the corner of my eyes. So I love being able to sit there and do that. I know we can't do Friday and Saturday football because of like the high school college thing. Yeah. That's cool. We don't need it those nights. But man, one game, all those other nights, I'm up for that.
And it helped that the one game on Tuesday matched unbeaten teams.
Only
Buffalo
undefeated teams.
It was great, yeah. From now on, no Tuesday game unless they're unbeaten teams. So let's start right there.
Yeah.
And it's a Wednesday, what the happened? So we're kind of dealing with major questions. Let's start with one from social, talking about Titans beating the Bills 42-16. This one deals with Ryan Tannehill. Just Wout. It's a good name, Wout Van Aert, one of the best riders in the peloton, by the way. But Wout says, is Tannehill a top 5 quarterback?
He's not a top 5 quarterback, but he is definitely a top 10 quarterback.
Knocking on the door.
He is. I mean, he was knocking on the door in my quarterback rankings last year. What did I end up having him at, Pete? 11 ultimately? I think I had him 11. Yes. Oh, and there's Pete. He's on our air now.
There we go. Pete's there for the first time. He's a gamer. He showed up when we needed him. If I'm remembering correctly, you had him ahead of Brady and Brees, and a lot of people were on you about that.
Of course they were. Yes. I mean, you're not allowed to ever drop Brady and Brees. Even when they're 94 years old, I'm going to still have to put them in the quarterback ranking. But yeah, I mean, you see, first off, again, it's another great example of when you put a guy on a team where the team fits and can support him and all those, you see the talent finally rise to the top, right? The example I use is another guy that came from Miami. Oh, Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's a bust down in Miami. Gets to Pittsburgh. All of a sudden we go, Defensive Player of the Year, right? So scheme, support around you, other than like a few freaks of nature like, Mahomes and Rodgers, are really, really important to show what a player has, all right? And I think, yes, the way they play on the offensive side of the ball, he's being protected, he's got a few weapons, and he just doesn't miss, you know?
He clearly did miss. And I'll add one more thing to the fit. For those who were really paying attention, if you weren't a diehard Dolphins fan who was upset with that they weren't making the playoffs,
Set it
if you
straight.
were really watching, he was pretty good.
Wasn't his fault
great,
they weren't making it.
Wasn't Pro Bowl, but he was good more often than he was bad.
Definitely.
So he was kind of ready to get recognized for the next step with a better team and a better fit anyway.
That's exactly right. It's why before the season started last year, I said Ryan Tannehill will be the starter and take over the job from Mariota.
Yeah.
He will, because it was lost in the shuffle. Again, it became we're going to blame the quarterback for the whole organization failures. And that's what happened to him in Miami. The perception kind of ran stale, right? He had a player and his wife rag on him all the time, which is annoying to me, because then the player and the wife went to another team where that quarterback threw interceptions every other play, and they never ragged on him, which I still will never forgive them, and I'm not even going to bring them up. But either way, Tannehill has it all. He really does.
What part of his really good you think showed up last night against Buffalo?
I think just the absolute, just dead-on bullseye accuracy, where no matter if it's 6 yards down the field or 40 yards down the field, it's just always right on target. First touchdown pass, double move, boom, in the pocket, right?
That was his first pass of the night.
The whole night.
Perfect. And it was probably his most difficult pass of the night.
Yeah.
And it was his most perfect.
Yes. I mean, but he never leaves yards on the field. That's my biggest thing about him. He maximizes opportunities to the maximum almost every week. And that's where he's really impressive. And then, last night with that game, the stats and numbers aren't going to look like they're amazing, but as you break down the game and everything like that, first off, they were very fortunate, right, to get the short field a few times. So that set themselves up for some scoring and all that. But they were going to have to throw the ball to score some touchdowns and do that, because Buffalo was selling out to stop the run. They weren't going to let Derrick Henry and company just maul them that way. And so some of these looks they got in the pass game were just too good for them to pass up, where, they want to stay patient with the run. But I think when they got into the second, third quarter, they started to realize, hey, there's too many guys up there, and we got mismatches. Let's start attacking.
And I think to that point, credit to Tennessee, whoever was calling plays there, for staying with Henry, because as you pointed out, it wasn't going really well. 19 carries, 57 yards is not a Derrick Henry kind of night.
Nope.
But they gave him more than 8 or 9 carries. They stayed with it to keep the offense on schedule, even when it wasn't really working that well.
Exactly right. I'm a big fan of that. I mean, I really am. Attempts is a big number for me for offensive success. Opens up the play action, gives your offensive line a chance again to just fire off the ball a little bit. He is your best player, so you still want to give him the touches. We've seen him go 18 carries for 30 yards, and all of a sudden he breaks 2 70-yarders, and you go, oh, he had an unbelievable day. So, and the biggest thing is, Mike Vrabel, it's the attitude of the football team is based around that. So they're not going to give up on that. And that's where I give them credit. Yeah, 19 for 57, that's a shitty day. Yeah. Shitty. But it's the benefits of what it had for everybody else. Like you're saying.
They didn't get away from it.
They didn't get away from it, no. And at the other thing it does, keeps Josh Allen and all those talented guys off the field too.
Right. How much do you think it matters for Tannehill to take that next step in between okay, and now he's somewhere between good and awesome? He's kind of in that category. That the defense is terrific, and that the offense begins with a runner.
Yeah, I think he's not looked at as having to ever really save the day or have to be the guy on a given game where you're just we're in one of those, hey, Tannehill, you got to throw for 350 and 3 touchdowns or we can't win. It's never really like that. They kind of always go the way you're talking about. Want to run the ball. They got some exotic things they do on defense. And then, if their opportunities present themselves, they take their shots. And they're aggressive. They're a big play football team. They really are. I mean, think about last night. It wasn't a lot of necessarily consistency. They're leading football in turnover margin and explosive plays. Those are 2 of the biggest stats that, determine games. Interceptions, big returns, big passes down the field, big punt return that sets up short field. You talked about the first pass for the touchdown, 20-yard something pass. So they're not looking to dink and dunk or do anything that way. It's run, take shots, and they're aggressive on both sides of the ball. Very complimentary football.
I don't know if I've seen a quarterback throw for 195 yards, which is very basic in the NFL, and have it look so impressive when you don't think about the actual stats.
It's fooling. It's fooling because it was so efficient. and you just saw the touchdowns, and it's like if you walked away from the game watching it on TV, you just go, oh, they moved the ball up and down the field all night. What you don't really realize is Bills' defense played a little bit better than I wanted to give them credit for when I turned off the TV last night. And then when I watched the film today, I go, there were some things that I really liked about what they did.
What'd you like best?
They were put in some tough spots. They really were by their offense and the punt and return and all of those type of things. But what I did like best is the running game has been a little bit of an issue for them. They were not gashed in the running game. Now, did it compromise them in the pass game? Definitely. And am I still worried about that with Buffalo? Yes. I mean, Buffalo is kind of corner, dysfunction. They don't, Tre'Davious White.
Especially without White.
Right. And he's not there. Everybody, it's a pretty average group to where I worry about them. So we always talk about when a team does something elite, it forces other team's hand to do something. And it forced Buffalo to have to put Josh Norman and Teron Johnson and those guys on islands against A.J. Brown, and they're just not going to win that matchup.
Yeah, how much did it matter to have A.J. Brown in that lineup?
It was huge because, especially with no Corey Davis and Adam Humphries who are on the COVID list, there could have been troubles if they don't have A.J. Brown last night. That might have been, swings the pendulum. Because now there's like, wait, who is the guy that's going to get open for Tennessee? Khalif Raymond is very good, a speed guy. I don't think he's even totally 100% healthy. So they needed that one go-to guy in the pass game. And as you saw, a lot of those play-action passes, he came looking for number 11, A.J. Brown, and more times than not, he delivered or got a pass interference call on him because they couldn't cover him. And, I think they approached the game the right way on the offensive side of the ball.
When I was watching Tannehill, and I watched it again this morning, the two things that really stand out to me are how balanced he is in the pocket. He's never in a position where he looks like, he couldn't make a throw right now if the defensive line forced him to.
Right.
And how just his motion is so compact that I used to wonder, could he really drive it if he had to, because it's just a little flip?
Right.
But the quiet lower body and the no wasted motion up top really leads to that accuracy.
It does.
And I can't really remember a poor decision. I'm sure there were a couple bouts of inaccuracy, but he was consistently on balance, making good decisions and putting the ball where he had to. And it allows them on like a 3rd and long, they can throw it 4 yards and give the guy a chance to run because he gets hit right here.
Right, like the Khalif Raymond 3rd and 19 you're talking about, right? They go in the little slot inside slant, and he beats the guy off the line of scrimmage. And, Tannehill throws the ball at the perfect time, the perfect spot to where Khalif Raymond doesn't break stride, and he gets another 16 yards after the catch to get the first down. And you're right, that's accuracy and things that get lost in context of plays sometimes. And it does add. Again, he maximized the play. It goes back to that. That play, we could see that, and I could go to other quarterbacks in football last week and might have had the same throw it behind or whatever else, and it doesn't let the quarterback run. Hey, Monday night, last play of the game, Justin Herbert, overtime, throws a slant to Mike Williams. He throws it in front, exactly right. They're going to get the first down. He throws it behind, gets tackled short of the first down. That's
his last two throws.
His last two throws were his worst two throws of the night, and we'll get into that in a minute.
We will get to that.
But that is maximizing throws, and it's more about it's not always about the deep balls. It's the short ones too, and letting your guys run. But Titans, I just can't say enough about them. The fact that they played that clean of football and executed like that without playing football in 16 days and very few practices, like, way to go, Mike Vrabel. That's pretty insane that they pulled that off. I mean, if you just didn't know anything and watched the game last night, you would go, well, Buffalo hasn't played in 2 weeks, right?
Right.
What? No, Tennessee? I mean, because they were on their game.
So that leads us pretty well into the other side with Josh Allen going up against the Titans defense. And I always want to maintain the perspective that one game doesn't take you to a level above or a level below.
Right.
Josh Allen is still having an awesome season, but he was much lesser than last night. I saw this morning on PFT that you gave him a C+ grade.
Right.
I had him more in the B range.
Yeah, okay. I gave him a C+ because I thought there was, I probably could have gone B- too, or B in that range. You're right, after watching that film back too, the game's not as bad as you think, other than that second interception. I mean, the first interception's not his fault. Yeah, you'd like the ball perfect in front of the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it was inaccuracy there. And we talked so much about Tannehill's accuracy.
Right.
It was a short throw.
Yeah.
If he puts it on him instead of behind him, receiver should have caught it.
Yeah.
But I mean, his inaccuracy led to that.
It definitely led to it. There's no doubt, And again, the other thing, no John Brown. It's Andre Roberts who's playing that position. Is that John Brown that gets that ball? Probably. But It was that kind of just signified the whole night to come for Buffalo. Like, ooh, that kind of looks good, but it's just a little off. We're off tonight. Like in all aspects, special teams, defense, offense, we can hit it all. But yeah, that started things off in the wrong way. And yeah, it was a third down, and I want to say it was a third and long, maybe 10, whatever else.
Are we talking about his first pick?
His first interception.
Okay,
he throws
I want to get to both. So
yeah. The first one was the in-cut, right? With the in-cut that you described. It was about a 15-yard, 16-yard throw.
I think it was a little shorter.
A little low and behind,
yes.
And the guy gets two hands on it, pops it up. Tennessee takes advantage, touchdown on the double move, like you said.
It was a very interesting defensive scheme that I want you to describe what they were doing. I mean, the inaccuracy led to the pick, but what they did to him leading up to that, I thought was really, really good.
Definitely. And it was 3rd and 4. I'm sorry. I thought it was longer than that. So he threw about a 14 or 15-yard pass on a 3rd and 4. The Titans' defensive game plan was awesome. It really was. I can't say enough about it. They played coverage the whole night. They ran exotic zone coverages. Mike Vrabel obviously had a little beat on the offense. You know, again, this is a New England offense. Mike Vrabel's done pretty damn good against New England so far. He's 2-0 since he's been the coach of the Tennessee Titans and stymied their offense both times.
He did.
You know, and then last year, he stymied Buffalo's offense a little last year when Buffalo went down there and won a close game. And then here again, but yes, I think the fact that he realized, and this is not the way the Titans have been playing the first few weeks of the year. They've been playing a little bit more of in-your-face, man-to-man, we're going to cover you and make you earn it. But I think he realized, whoa, we're not going to match up with this group.
Right.
We can't cover this group all over the field and what they're doing, and not with this big sucker 17 back there.
Yeah.
Because even if we do cover him, he buys time, and then people pop open and all of that stuff too. So very impressive from that standpoint with dropping people in the coverage and the illusion of blitzing.
Yes.
Right?
That's the word.
The illusion.
Yeah. Which leads to that confusion that you've always talked about that you want that quarterback to have for half a second.
Half a second. One thing we're going to get in today is teams over blitzing. It's going to be a theme throughout all my notes, where I'm going to show you teams that blitz and they get gashed, and then teams that play coverage right now are proving to be the better defenses. They are. And you can go to the plays or whatever it is.
And on this play, on that first pick, I think it's a perfect example because 3rd and 4, like you talked about, so it's an open book for a defense to have any kind of blitz on a 3rd down and 4. They had 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, maybe 6.5, because the 7th was a little bit off.
Right.
And at the snap, you don't know if they're bringing 4 or if they're bringing 7. So they bring 4. Which was confusing right off the bat.
Yes, right.
And then number 31, the free safety, who was about 2 yards off the ball, looked like he had free reign to play center field, not 20 yards deep, but 5 yards deep, and just look for digs. And it was a case where defense beats offense, not physically, but they had a better scheme called.
They had a better scheme called.
Because he fell right into where the ball was going.
No doubt about it. I mean, I think they played areas, and the one thing where everybody gets mixed up, in my opinion, right now is blitz. We got to pressure the quarterback. What we're seeing right now with a lot of this blitz is it's doing nothing to quarterbacks. It's nothing. They're too well schooled. They know how to pick it up or where they're supposed to throw hot or change receivers' routes to screw over what you're going to do in the back end and then hold the ball just long enough to make the plays. It's throughout football right now. It really is. And you're letting the quarterback off the hook more times than not because you're making him not read anything or not have to make a decision. You're making the decision for him to where he goes, oh, wait, they're blitzing me. I don't have a lot of time. I like Stephon Diggs one-on-one with anybody. I'm just going to put it in his area. Oh, pass interference. Oh, big gain. So it's not doing the benefits that the people want to talk about. But that was kind of the theme all night long. And like you said, was like, whoa, lots of people at the line of scrimmage. Are they blitzing? Who's blitzing? I don't know. Wait, one guy blitzed, but another guy dropped out. Oh, it's still 4. How many times they really rushed 4, and I call this blitz change, one of them got home free. Was, again, another thing I'll look at to go, Mike Vrabel had a beat on the offense and knowing where they were going to protect, how they were going to slide the line.
Yeah, because it's not just the quarterback's confusion we're talking about.
No.
The offensive line gets a little confused as well.
Yes, I think it's that. I mean, even when I see this type of stuff, this is even more than quarterback and O-line. You're catching the offensive coordinator, even Brian Daboll, by surprise, too.
Right.
And they haven't been caught off guard by that. But I think that was really the impressive thing. They never let Buffalo and I mean within Tennessee's defense, have those shots to take any shots down the field early in the game. They were going to make them earn it and execute and drive and do that. And Buffalo hasn't had to do that a whole lot because they're a big play football team.
Right.
You know?
You've talked a lot about how you don't like the fifth rusher in a blitz. So
Yeah.
You say either bring 3 or 4 or bring 6 or 7, but 5 gets you nowhere. So I was paying attention to who might have been the fifth.
Yeah.
I think it's Byard.
Yeah, Byard, Kevin Byard.
Byard
right.
could have been the fifth on that interception.
Right.
But instead of coming, he dropped
played
and
in the
had the
middle.
pick.
Yeah.
I also saw sometimes, and tell me if this is seeing it the right way,
Right.
where that fifth rusher at the snap won't come. It's almost like he was spying
Just
Allen.
holding a guy.
And then he could decide to come about a second later when the offensive line and the quarterback thought, well, he's not
Right.
coming anyway, don't worry about it.
Right. They're definitely that. This is all New England, Vrabel, Baltimore Ravens, Dean Pease type of stuff where, you know, is he blitzing? Is he covering the tailback? What's he doing? Or he's just standing over the guard so the guard has
Right.
to stay there because I don't know what he's doing.
Do you
And
think
now
he
they
has the-
blitzed another guy off
Right.
the edge. Right.
Does that fifth have the option to come, or is he told, wait a count?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes it's like, hey, if you see the running back block and now you know he's blocked and you were supposed to cover him, then
you
go.
go.
And then go green dog type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But with guys like Josh Allen, sometimes they'll tell them still, don't go. Just kind of read his eyes, and as soon as he makes a break outside the pocket or do something, be there to be that guy to where, okay, he's outside the pocket, but he's not going to get out there now just set up for a few seconds and find us. Like, he's going to have the pressure on him to go, you better throw and make a decision because we got somebody running at you. You're not going to just sit here all day. And that is great coaching, great game planning, and I think that was, you know, the big things that jumped out to me. Coverage, disguises. We talked about before we went on air. Disguises. Quarterbacks are so good now. Dummy snap count. Booty five, said hot, hot, hot. And then the defense shows their hand. Oh, hey, check Mike 31 over here because they've showed now who they're going to blitz. And then the quarterback gets them in the perfect play. And then the defense is gashed and they wonder why. Well, that's one of the reasons I say stop fucking blitzing so much.
Yeah.
But then the other reason is hold your disguises. One thing I noticed constantly, and if you're watching on TV or anything like that right on YouTube right now, you know, one, we talked about they look like it's cover 2 and they don't flinch from cover 2 until set hut, the ball snapped, and all of a sudden then it becomes cover 3 or it becomes man-to-man with a robber in the middle or whatever else. That is the shit that confuses a quarterback for a split second.
Right.
Or then the other thing we talked about, like the creative blitzes you're talking about, where it still ends up only being a 4-man rush.
Right.
Where here's a nickel cover corner. And if you're watching me on YouTube right now, you know, usually the nickel cover corner, he's told, all right, you got you're blitzing here, right? They can't help it usually. So the quarterback does the dummy snap count or even gets towards the end of the snap count and they're flinching because they can't wait to blitz. And Vrabel has told them, hey, you showing it and just being a split second faster is really ruining it. Don't do that. We want to surprise them so they're not schematically capable of doing it. And they're great at like telling their corners and their blitzers, don't even flinch. Just look at your guy. And when the ball snapped, I don't care if you get off the ball like a split second later than the guy who's told the whole world he's coming. We want to get there because they're not schematically ready for it. And that's how they got a lot of free runners last night at Josh Allen.
I think you're hitting on a point that's allowing the defense to at least think about having a little bit of an advantage over the offense.
Exactly.
We're in this time, whether you measure by points or yards or quarterback efficiency, it's advantage offense. With the pace, the formations, the amount of guys they get out, but with the deception in the front 7 and in the back 4, and with guys being well coached on not to give away what they're doing until the ball is snapped, defense can kind of take a little bit of that back. Bringing me to my next question.
Yeah.
Do you think the deception that is shown on the front 7 with the quarterback and O-line wondering who's coming, who's not coming, or the deception of the back end where you don't know if they're playing zone or man until after you get it, which one is having more of an effect on an offense?
Yeah, I would probably say a little bit more of the who's coming, who's not, just because it's a little bit of the really awesome defenses can do both. And that's a little bit what they did last night.
They did,
so you'll have Josh Allen, he's going, wait, am I picked up? And then he's looking back up to the secondary and like, whoa, it totally changed. They weren't doing this a second ago. So that's what the really good defenses do. But I think if you make me pick one or the other, I think that confusion of, I don't know who's blitzing, who's coming, who's dropping out. Let me peek out of the corner of the eye to make sure we picked up that guy because I'm not sure if he's picked up or not. That's probably always the greatest advantage, but not by such a greater. I mean, they're both very important.
Both matter, yeah.
Both very important.
Second interception, let's focus on that
Yeah.
because it looked, watching it live and then watching it back, it looked much worse than the first one where you can say the receiver could have caught it.
Yep.
It was a really creative scheme that got him. What happened on that second pick?
I think the second pick just is more of a little bit of a greedy throw, a little bit just
I thought careless.
A little careless, and I think he just misread. Malcolm Butler duped him. I think he thought, so on the play itself, I can't remember who the receiver is he's throwing to on the left sideline, but he's got a hole shot, right? It's cover 2. He's going to throw it in that hole between the corner and the safety.
Yep.
And they have Beasley running a little option route in the slot. And Beasley makes an initial breakout, and Butler is looking at it. You know, they're well taught. They know what they're trying to do. He looked at it, and he kind of makes a hop flinch, like he might go for it and try to steal the slot out route or that slot option route. But as he makes that hop, I think he probably realized, he was like, wait, what the am I doing? This is Josh Allen. I better get the back. And I think Josh thought it was going to be wide open, seeing the body language of Butler.
Yeah.
He didn't even throw a rifle like we usually did, because that to me is what told me, oh, he saw the guy and he missaw him or didn't read the body language the right way, because he threw almost a safe ball. You know, we're used to seeing howitzers. Shoo!
Yeah.
And that's usually how he throws that ball. That to me tells me he was fooled there a little bit by Butler and what he did.
And just one more point on Josh Allen, and all credit to Tennessee because they made him play with a little less accuracy and forced him into some careless throws, much more than we've seen so far this year. But Buffalo was 13 out of 17 on third down. And these weren't screens, these weren't draws or wide open guys. He was shuffling to his right, shuffling to his left, making really difficult throws. So I know they didn't score the way they wanted. I know they lost. He threw a couple picks. He had some awesome plays throughout.
Insane. There's nobody in football that can do some of the things he did last night other than 15 and 12. And I'm not sure if they can even do some of the things he did last night. He's insane. And people just got to start getting used to it. Because, that's about as bad as it's going to get.
Which play comes to mind? Because I know how much you think of Mahomes and Rodgers. What comes to mind to put him into that category?
The second touchdown pass, when he just floats and floats and floats and then throws the ball to T.J. Yeldon 40 yards down the field.
40-yard fastball.
Fastball.
Yeah.
They're playing coverage. Everybody's looking at him in his zone coverage going, and literally the defender who he throws it by turns around to look at the running back and sees him. It's like, he's not going to throw that there.
Yeah.
And and then the ball goes in the air, and by the time he's like, oh my gosh, I'm panicking, he's throwing it here, the ball's there already.
Yeah.
Or how about the float to the left, throw it across the field to Stephon Diggs on a third down?
Right.
Or how about the scramble to the left on third down, and the guy is falling out of bounds, and if he throws the ball in the guy's chest, that's going to be intercepted. He throws it a foot outside of out of bounds, they get the first down. That's insanity crap.
I know. That touchdown to T.J. Yeldon was the equivalent. You ever have a baseball game on and there's a runner on third, 1 out or less, someone hits one deep into the outfield, and you're like, oh, it's an easy sacrifice fly. And then the ball comes lasered in and the guy's gunned out at home plate. You sit up and you're like,
whoa,
what?
How did he get him?
It was that kind of a throw.
I agree. That's what he can do. Now, yes, it was a rough night. Buffalo plays them again. They're not going to make those. I would like to think they're not going to make some of the mistakes they made. They got caught on an off night. And then I think it'll be a little bit of a teaching thing. First off, Tennessee, all those things we're talking about, what they're doing on defense. Rushing 3, rushing 4, 4-man line, 1 drops out, 1 blitzes. It's all coverage related. So he's doing this too with 0 run game. Can everybody, zero run game. And this is why, for people out there who got on me about they need to draft a running back and Zach Moss, and I'd maybe even venture into the Le'Veon Bell conversation on Buffalo, because you could see they are not very good at running back.
No, exactly.
They're not.
I think we spent a lot of time in the offseason thinking about free agency and draft, and how can this team go from good to great? And we saw the little differences last night. The Tennessee's run game, even though it wasn't great by their standards, was better than Buffalo's by far, and Tannehill's accuracy was a little better than Josh's.
Yeah, definitely. And
little differences.
Yeah, little differences. They had balance, Buffalo didn't have the luxury of going, wait, we'll play all coverage here. Oh, we're going to get gashed by Henry. They had to play we got to stop Henry and compromise ourselves there. Tennessee was basically like, please fucking run it.
Right.
Do us a favor. We're all for it because we don't really think, even with 3 down linemen, you're going to go far with it.
Right.
So they put a lot on Josh Allen right now. They are getting, to me, this is where we're going to start getting into like the conversation we've had about the Chiefs. They came out in the second half, and if you remember the first drive, the drive he throws a second interception, a lot of short throws, things like that. That's their next move because this is what teams are going to start doing to them. Teams are going to start playing coverage. We don't think you can run it. Okay, that's fine. I don't think they can run it either. Let's screen game up, short pass game up, all those speed sweeps you see to Isaiah McKenzie for the touchdown pass by the end zone and all those things. Do them. There's no. You can do that at the 50-yard line. There's like what that I want to ask Andy Reid and Brian Daboll that. Like, there's no rule that you have to do that at the 3-yard line. You can do it at the 50.
Right.
You can do it at your own 25. It's if the guy drops, it's incomplete pass. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
So those things like where we go, these are trick plays. For these teams who are pass-based and want to win with their quarterback's right arm, no, that has to be like a mainstay of the offense for when teams play coverage and drop and drop. You got to have a million different ways to go, fine, we're going to you up with all this cool stuff we do behind the line of scrimmage, and we'll see if you can rally and tackle us.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Titans-Bills was an awesome game to watch. Great defense, good quarterback play as well. Another game we want to get into, Saints and the Chargers, and different kinds of quarterback play in this one. Let's start with the younger quarterback in that equation for the Chargers, Justin Herbert. And to nobody's surprise, if we take a look here at the Offensive Rookie of the Year odds provided by our partners at PointsBet Sportsbook, Herbert is the favorite right now by some pretty good numbers. Long way to go, but I think he's worthy of this right here. He has been, in losing efforts, really, really impressive.
Very impressive. I mean, it doesn't matter. Usually, it's interesting because, usually if a quarterback wins Rookie of the Year, they got to win some games and do things like that. But they could end up being 4-12 and 5-11. But it's just the play, just like we've seen through 4 weeks, it ain't his fault.
Right.
I mean, it's not him. He's doing special shit. I mean, it's almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every game. And in a lot of ways, they're not helping him out either. So we'll get into that. But, yeah, he can do things other guys in football can't with that right arm.
Talent doesn't always lead to production and points and really good plays. We've seen a lot of good quarterbacks come in the league. It takes him quite a while, and he has his moments. But for the most part, he's been an A for this team. Aside from just the physical talent, what do you like best about what he's doing for the production side?
Well, I mean, just pinpoint accuracy. I mean, how many throws did he make the other night where they put him in a 3rd and long situation because they're over-managing him, right? Yep. And you go, well, wow, you guys did him a great favor by putting him in 3rd and 12. Way to manage the game for him.
You're talking about like by calling run plays.
Run first down, run second down. That was an issue the whole game, but then he delivers. And then, like, very few mistakes of what he's seeing on the field.
Right.
He threw one ball, I think, on like the first drive of the game where he ran to the left and like tried to throw somebody down the field who was double covered.
It was 3rd and long.
It was his dicey, and it wasn't that bad, right? That's what I mean. That's as dicey as it got all night long.
That's true.
So that's okay with me, and I think that's the thing I'm impressed with more than anything.
How about this stat right here?
Yeah.
It has to do with the blitz.
Yeah, please, let's go there.
Okay, when Justin Herbert is not blitzed, 68%, that's good.
Yeah.
6 touchdowns, 3 picks. When he is blitzed, he's over 70%.
Right.
3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and his yards per attempt is quite a bit higher as well.
It's going to be the
11.7 versus 7.6.
This is my new pet peeve in football right now because this is the other thing now too. He's a rookie.
Number 1 passer rating in the league against the blitz.
Oh, he's a rookie. We got to blitz him. We got to see if he can handle the blitz because he's never been blitzed in high school and college football before. Right. So he doesn't know what to do. He's the first time in the NFL, and he's going, wait, they're blitzing me? Timeout, coach. They didn't blitz in the Pac-12. What? I'm so sick of that. It's like old school 1974 defensive bullshit thinking.
Right.
Move on from the thoughts. Every time the Saints blitzed in the game, they got torched. Every time they played coverage, he had a hard time finding people open. I find that throughout the league right now. And, yeah, I mean, like we just talked about it a minute ago, the TD, the first touchdown pass, all out blitz.
Yep.
Right. You're making the game easier on them.
Yeah.
There's no decision to be made.
Unless they get to you right away as a quarterback, what are you getting in coverage when they blitz usually?
Always man-to-man, right.
And if you throw deep, how often do you see the corner not turn his head?
No.
So we don't want to make it sound easy, but it is easier. It's a tell. All-out blitz, oh, they're playing man in the back end.
Exactly right. You make the decision for the quarterback. He's not reading anything. He's been taught what to do against the blitz. That's an easy one. That was something that was drilled into him like the first few days of training camp where he's like, wait, I can't mess that up. Our coach takes reps away from me. So I got to get that. And then what's he do? He makes the extra guy miss. He knew he had the guy, extra free guy on the edge. He just let him, he duped him. He just come in a little closer. You're going to get me, zoom, right around the edge, touchdown.
Yeah.
So,
and he threw that on a full sprint, too.
A full
it's not
sprint.
Like he broke contain and was jogging.
No, he's got one of those arms.
Yeah.
It's an Allen Mahomes type arm. It might not look as cool when he does it and all that, but it still looks cool, the finished product of how it comes out of his hands and everything like that.
It looks to me like watching Carson Palmer in his prime. Before Carson really got hurt.
I got you. You're right.
Really quiet, wide base, lower body.
Exactly.
And just that compact motion up top.
It's very efficient.
Yeah,
it really
efficient.
is. That's where it's misleading. It's where I think people were misled in the draft evaluation. It's a little bit like Tom Brady this way. He can throw the ball really, really hard and make it look like it's really effortless and just smooth and almost like beautiful.
Yes.
And because of that, you go, well, that can't be really moving that hard in person. And then you see it in person and you go, holy shit. Yeah. And it's because he's got long arms and huge hands and a big body, and he knows how to correlate that top to the bottom, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And he's
it
awesome.
Makes me think about this past winter when we had he had the film of what he did at the Combine.
Right.
And people always want to say, oh, Combine doesn't matter, anybody can throw. And it's not an exact correlation to success in the NFL. But remember when we watched that, we talked about how easy every throw looked, 10-yard out, 50-yard push out,
50-yard corner routes he was throwing. That was
the lower body, the motion looked the exact same.
Right.
And just because he did that in February in the winter in shorts, it doesn't mean he's a good quarterback. But it was a terrific indication of that he might have success in the NFL because what he can do physically.
How easy it is, how effortless it is.
Effortless, yes.
And there's a lot of crazy moving parts, which tells you it can be consistent.
Right.
Because when there's a lot of crazy moving parts, you go, oh, yeah, he did it awesome for 4 times in a row. But, man, times 5, 6, and 7, he threw wobblers or ducks or missed the target.
No.
So when you're explaining as a guy that, yes, when we say it's effortless and easy, yes, it is that, but that usually means it's technically sound too, and they're able to replicate it throw after throw after throw, and that's what the great ones can do.
So we both liked what he did a lot.
Yes, right.
First half was much better than the second.
Yeah.
What changed in the second half from him having a lot of success to limited success?
Well, again, it was all about big plays, really, for the most part, in the first half of them. They put the one drive together. It was impressive. There's no doubt about that. Or really 2 drives together. I'm sorry. That last one was off the interception from Drew Brees where they got that. But I think this is the big thing. First off, I saw a lot of blitzing and over-aggressive from New Orleans. I even wrote down here, so that all-out blitz, that touchdown happens, and then the next drive, Saints don't blitz at all, and the Chargers can't do anything. I mean, there's nothing that can be done there. And I think really my big thing from this game, the Chargers stayed in there and all those things. My big takeaway is I really liked what I saw from the Saints defense. I really did. I think they're really close in a lot of ways. Now, I know they let up 15 plays, 71 yards to the Justin Jackson, the running back. That was on the first drive of the game. They let up a big run. After that, there wasn't one hole the rest of the game. So there was nothing there. And then I found out, they messed up a few coverages. The long touchdown at the end of the game. He threw the big post right down the middle. The guy got tackled at the 2-yard line. Both were Patrick Robinson mental mistakes. That's really all it was. If you take away those plays, man, their D-line dominated, and they were all over the Chargers receivers like glue. Whether it was zone or man, they had a real good beat on it. And the Saints are another one of those teams that I always want to say, stop being so damn aggressive. Your front four is really good.
And did that change in the second half?
It did. It changed really as the game went on. They realized it. And I know I'm trying to read through my notes to exactly where it stopped. But the success rate between when they blitzed and when they didn't, I know this was another game where I just kept looking at it going, you blitz, you get burned. When you play coverage, they have a hard time finding people to get open, especially when your offensive line is not very good and can't pass protect that well. And to add to that point, they kept running the ball on first and second down and never giving him a chance to play ahead of the chains or putting the offense in a power position to be in a 2nd and 4. Are they going to run it? Is it going to be play action pass or do any of that?
And I have a number of notes that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but I think this works right now. Chargers ran the ball on 18 out of 28 first downs. Only the Raiders and Browns had a higher run percentage. So I'm sure that they're thinking they're helping their quarterback, like you mentioned a little bit ago, but it's not helping.
It's not helping. And they're still losing games. It has to change. It's 4 weeks in a row where he's giving you the lead and then we manage ourselves into a loss. I said this in the show this morning. I'm going to say it again. Take the training wheels off. Not Justin Herbert. They're already off him.
Right.
Coaches, you need to take your own training wheels off. I don't know what you're doing. First off, their O-line stinks. Their running backs are so average. So what are we playing through the run? Where are we going to go with this?
Do you think Justin Jackson should start? And this is a question from Randy Darsh 350.
Well, I don't really care between him and Kelly. Neither one is that special. Right. You know, it sucks that they don't have Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
That's really where it hurts them. The talent of their team is their quarterback and their receivers. All right, and that's where I just want to say this last game especially, and I thought this a little in the Tampa game, but I was like, okay, it's the third start. You're still being careful with them, all that. But this game, there was never an inkling other than that first run that the run game was going to get going. Yeah. So you had that first run, but after that, it was like, okay, we've run the ball 5 times since then, and we can't even get to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Maybe we should come away from our game plan and start spreading the ball around, start doing those type of things. And to me, they're doing him a disservice. They're doing their own team a disservice.
But where's the fine line between, because we just talked about Ryan Tannehill and how much he benefited from them sticking with the ground game, which is much better than the Chargers.
Sure.
But Derrick Henry, I think, was 19 for 57, so 3 yards per attempt.
Yeah.
So the fact that they stuck with it, even though they weren't having a lot of success, helped them. And I really like how Herbert gets under center and has a great play action.
Sure.
The half boot, the full boot. So where's the balance there between giving more to Herbert but not getting totally away from that?
Yeah, well, you don't have to get totally away from it, but I think there has to be more of that, like what you're saying. First down, play action pass. First down, play action pass, screen to the running back. First down, let me just get the ball out to the wide receiver and a little wide receiver screen, get us into 2nd and 6 or 7, whatever it is. Just do some stuff like that to make up for your lack of a running game, which is not going to happen. To me, that's what I would like to see. Again, they're a team where their assets, their defense is banged up. On offense, their assets are Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert, Hunter Henry. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean run the ball. That, to me, says throw the ball. So that's where I think they're missing out, and I think that's a big reason why they haven't been able to close out games the last 2 weeks.
Well, it's been really fun to watch him on these big stages against Drew Brees, the week before against Tom Brady. Justin Herbert's been coming through in spite of the fact they're not winning.
Yeah, well, I'm just annoyed. I mean, like I wrote, it's 20-3 lead, 2.5 minutes, first and second down runs. I wrote, it's fucking Sean Payton and Drew Brees. They're going to come back, guys. Right. What do you think? You're going to win just doing that and going to win 27-3? Right. Come on. No, you got to know who you're playing there. So that bothered me a lot. I just want them to take the training wheels off. But like I said, I think the big thing is more than anything, and I know it's not going to necessarily look that way when you see the stats and the amount of points, but I do really like the way that I think like Davenport popped a few times. Cam Jordan, of course, looks really good. Amenyata, Sheldon Rankins after his Achilles tear last year, he looks like he's starting to come along.
Davis at linebacker.
I mean, they can dominate without having to put extra people in the box. That's what my big thing is with them. And they're really creative what they do on the coverage side too, Paul. Like, they'll do some of that Tennessee, like, I don't know what coverage this is. They just have a beat on what you're doing in this formation, or they'll double certain receivers on a 2nd and 3rd down. There was a number of, second downs or third downs when it was obvious pass situations where they were like, okay, you're not throwing to Keenan Allen. This is before he got hurt, or you're not going to throw to Mike Williams on this play, or we're going to double Hunter Henry here. And I love that type of stuff. And that led to them getting off the field more times than not. So we'll see where it goes, but like I said, keep your eye out. I think they're getting it there in defense in New Orleans on defense.
You mentioned one of the key points in this game, which was a feeling late in the second quarter that that Drew Brees and Sean Payton are going to figure things out. No matter how many points they end up scoring, they're going to be better in the second half than they were in the first.
Yep.
Drew Brees' first 6 drives, he was 7 out of 15 for 43 yards. Drew being less than 3 yards per attempt.
Right.
I don't know how many times that's happened in the last 18, 19 years that he's been playing. I'm sure not very many. Final 7 drives, 26 out of 32. That's well over 80%. 282, touchdown, 0 interceptions. What changed with what Sean and Drew did, and what the Chargers did on defense?
I think the biggest thing is I think that Sean Payton tried to go early in the game like, hey, we're gonna run the ball. I'm gonna try to do that, and the Chargers were kind of selling out on it. You know, Gus Bradley, that Seattle defense, 8 guys at the line of scrimmage. First series, they had a little success running the ball, and I think that maybe led Sean Payton to want to stay with it maybe a hair longer than maybe he should have, which I don't really have a problem with. But really what the Chargers started to do, and one of the things I wrote in my notes is just, you know, after that first drive, they started shooting gaps. Like the linebackers, it's just like, hey, you got this gap, you got this gap. And the linebacker, when they saw their gap open, instead of kind of waiting for Kamara to come or Latavius Murray, they just started running through it too. They created chaos that way. The big turning point is the drive we're talking about. It's 20-3, end of the first half, and they got into, wait, let's just spread the field and get the ball out of Drew's hands quickly. And they started getting into all the dink and dunk, New Orleans Saints type stuff. And with the Chargers not playing a ton of man-to-man and doing stuff like that, they caught them in their zone coverages. And they just kind of picked apart those little holes. And that's where Brees and Sean Payton are magical, when they kind of get that, like, okay, wait, this is how they're offending us. We kind of got a feel now. Mm-hmm. Let's bring out our array of short passing attack. And the Chargers don't have the type of defense to kind of take that away right now.
I want to keep you with that Chargers defense. I have a question from Sir Lax. It says, can you deep dive into the Chargers defense? I feel like Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator, has been putting them in bad positions when the team has a lead.
Yeah, I don't know if I totally agree with, you know, bad positions. No, I still think they're kind of playing, just doing what they do. Now, they've had some guys.
What is what
well,
they
they're
do?
They're a Seattle cover 3 team. That is what they are at their heart. I mean, Gus Bradley was in Tampa Bay with me, and then he went to Seattle. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's the guy that started the scheme that caught fire through football. It's him. He's the one that went up there and sold it to Pete Carroll.
So right now, if it's too something, it's too what?
It's it could be too predictable right now. Again, especially. When you have some guys right now who are replacements and young, and, you know, Melvin Ingram ain't in there right now. You know, they're missing Chris Harris Jr. They're missing Derwin James. So they got guys that are not only like mentally making some mistakes, which has happened in this game. The long touchdown to Jared Cook down the middle. Kenneth Murray, rookie linebacker, he kind of messes up how he's supposed to play the coverage. I think it's him and second-year player Nasir Adderley, the safety, who are supposed to be over there with that guy, but they kind of messed up their rules of what they were supposed to do against that formation and that coverage, and it led to a big play. And that's not necessarily – the play was meant and perfectly called to stop that play.
Which one are you talking about?
Jared Cook, I want to say that, the 41-yard touchdown pass.
I want to get into that. There you go. 3rd and 14.
Right.
41-yard touchdown to Jared Cook. I've got a bunch of notes on this,
too.
I want to hear your interpretation.
Well, it's an interesting play as far as how they played the coverage, but they're basically playing a coverage what I would call, like, I called it P11 double robber. Right?
Double robber.
Double robber, because they had 8 guys in coverage. They had a robber to the trip side and a robber to the weak side.
The defensive back who lines up deep, who kind of hangs in the middle to pick off an intermediate
route. They had 2. Right. And Murray, who I believe is playing the wrong technique at the line of scrimmage, he's playing outside technique on Jared Cook, which allows now Jared Cook to go inside of him and be able to cut across the field.
Unimpeded.
Unimpeded, never touched straight line. Right. Yeah. You can't let that happen.
Right.
So he's supposed to be inside leverage, in my understanding of the coverage, and then also stay inside of him as he's running that deep post cross.
Didn't even come close to doing
Didn't even come close to that. And then the safety should be on top. So then Drew Brees drops back, and he's looking at his first read. Wait, Kenneth Murray's underneath it. Let me see if I can throw a lofting pass. Oh, wait, no, the safety's over there too. Let me find something else. Right? They messed up the whole play.
And that safety, number 24.
Nasir Adderley, right.
As soon as Cook got that free release and was running by himself, they could have put a Band-Aid on it if 24 would have just run with him. But he was frozen looking at something else and was a non-factor. He got paused
by the seam on the other side or whatever it was. He got infatuated with the 3 receiver side a little bit, to where everything, I don't think that was his rules. And, other things that I pieced together. If you watch the game film, Kazir White, the number 44, the linebacker, who was kind of playing that other robber spot, he was a linebacker that was playing like 15 yards off the ball. He turns around as Jared Cook's catching the ball because he's running upfield because he realizes, wait, why is this guy wide open? He yells at both of them. And you could see, Kenneth Murray, after he scores, he puts his head down. Nasir Adderley puts his hands up. Like, they were disgusted with themselves. They know they messed something up.
Right.
That coverage was called to stop that exact play.
And that idea of rushing 3 and dropping 8, like, what's the one thing you're not going to let happen when you drop 8?
Big pass plays, usually, right. Exactly. So, yeah, that was one where I think inexperience and youngness kind of came back to bite them in the ass.
All right, Chargers and the Saints. Any other final comments
No,
you want to spend some time with?
I think the big thing is, I do realize, I just think more than ever, Michael Thomas's importance to the offense and Drew Brees, just because, Drew can't throw the ball down the field and be effective that way. You just want him to be able to do it enough to keep teams honest and get those 15 and 20-yard completions here and there. But Michael Thomas's schematical importance and how he opens up other people, but also just for games like we just saw where he's amazing is, catch the ball for 6, break an arm tackle, the linebacker gets 12 yards, catches another one, it's 8 yards, catch another 4-yard pass, it ends up a 12-yard gain. It's like those little things. They're always in good positions. It's always moving the chains, always ahead of it. Oh, it's 3rd and 6. He gets 8 yards to get the first down. That's where they miss him. And then it makes everybody else and the rest of the offense so effective that way. To right now, it's cool. They're being forced to get Emmanuel Sanders the ball. But it's making Alvin Kamara maybe in some of the things he's doing. He's still awesome.
Yeah.
But that's when they're hitting on all cylinders is when it's like, oh, yeah, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Oh, Thomas, Kamara. Oh, yeah, we got Jared Cook over here, too. You want to do that? You want to double both of them and leave him one?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm amazed by. Right now, what they're doing with Kamara is, I think, the cool thing. And that, I just 2 seconds. Because they use him everywhere. They know they have to exhaust him more because Michael Thomas is not there. And really, it's amazing because I think we have a little spray chart.
Route chart for those of you who are watching on YouTube. There it is.
What I'm amazed by always is all the different looks they can give you out of the backfield, right out of, like, he's right next to Drew Brees in the shotgun. And he can run basically like 6 or 7 different routes that all at the start of the snap look like he's going to run the same route.
Right. And for those of you who can't see it, just listening, what I'm looking at is variety too, because there are routes between 0 and 10 yards to the left.
Yep.
There's 3 of them. Same thing to the right, a couple down the middle, and a deep one down the side. So it's spreading him out as well. It's not just, they're not just peppering one little spot with him.
They could throw screens on the outside to him, a tunnel screen like we saw him drop on that first 3rd down of the game, right? He can play the slot, but when he gets in the backfield, and let's just say Drew Brees in the shotgun and Alvin Kamara is off to his right, he takes that little outside release arc, and then he comes downhill, and they have the option route, all right? So the option route, he's got 3 options on that. He can break inside. He can sit down in his zone coverage. If the guy's playing a man inside leverage, he could break out. So it becomes a 5-yard out, a 5-yard in, or a 5-yard curl route. Then he has what we would call and I know they call it the same way, they call it a Trojan route, where he runs like the old angle route, the old Texas route, right? Where it looks like he might run to the flat. We got to get out there and stop him from running the flat route. And then he puts the brakes on and he angles out over the middle. They have that. Then they have that same type of thing, except he wheels up the sideline and goes there. Then they have that same type of thing, and he runs a seam. He just runs straight up the middle of the field. So they give you a lot to defend with him. He is such a weapon that way. And I guess that's just one last thing I wanted to say.
And one last thing I want to say in response to that, it kind of piggybacks on your point about Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
If Michael Thomas is in there, maybe you have to have the 3rd best man defender on Kamara. And right now you can have the second. You can even put the first on if you're not worried about him.
No doubt.
And if Thomas is out there,
that's where they really put you in a bind. Yeah, that's where Sean Payton's amazing, because he knows how to play games with, oh, you're doing this, or you're trying to take away this guy. All right, well, I got something else for you with the other guy, and here we go.
Okay. Seattle, Minnesota. Russell Wilson, awesome again. We'll get to him. Let's start, though, with that Minnesota run game without Dalvin Cook. And we think about this Seattle run defense. Should be good against anybody.
Yeah.
Why did Minnesota get the best of them that way?
Oh, well.
And I have a question here while you think about it, about the Seahawks defense. This is from @SportLover2010. Do you think Seattle should adopt the defense that the Raiders and Pats played against Kansas City, seeing as their pass rush stinks? Maybe having more numbers and coverage could be beneficial for them.
I do, yes. I'd like that. It's just like the same thing we're just talking about with Tennessee and Buffalo, right? Yeah, I do like that generally, but because Seattle's another team that we're going to talk about where I'm going to go, I'm so sick of the 5-man blitz that gets the same amount of pressure the 4-man blitz does, except we just leave a guy wide open.
Right.
I mean, they're the kings of it right now. Like, we're going to send one more guy. It doesn't really matter. We still don't get to the quarterback.
And as a result, Seahawks have given up 2,356 total yards, most by any team through 5 games since the 1950 Colts.
It's bad. Now, there's a lot of things to talk about, as far as the Seahawks defense. We've hit on it a little bit. Am I surprised that Dalvin Cook and company ran the ball the way they did? Yes. Do I think a few times, especially when Cook got out of the game, did they catch the Seahawks going, I don't think they'll give it to Madison or the running game as much. Let's play a little coverage, and it caught them by surprise? Yes, I do. But, I don't know what else to say, about the Seahawks defense. It's not going to get much better.
What could be fixed? Their personnel is their personnel.
Their personnel is, yes.
What can be fixed or tweaked?
I just would like to see, I think that less of the always selling out 8 guys at the line of scrimmage, you're not going to run the ball on us. I, every now and then, would like to see them be, a little outside the box and do some, coverage concepts that are not just something you constantly put on film week after week after week. They have little things they do here and there, but I don't know. They need to be on the trade block in a few weeks and try to find if they can get a shutdown corner or a pass rusher. I'll take either one. But I just know one of the things I wrote in my notes is, the Seahawks can't stop the run. So if the numbers are equal, right, and it's 7-on-7, they're losing.
Is that more D-line or linebacker problem?
It's probably more D-line right now. It's the D-line. They only got one good one, and it's Jarran Reed. The rest of it, they get dominated on a snap-by-snap basis. Jarran Reed's really the only high-level player they have in their front 7. Bobby Wagner's still good, don't get me wrong, but he's not like the Hall of Fame linebacker we saw 3-4 years ago. And I would say the same thing about KJ Wright. So Reed's the only difference maker they have there. Now, I think the other thing, too, just on the personnel standpoint before we move on, the fact that they can't play man, and you've heard me say this, they have corners who start for them who most teams would go, you can't play corner for us. We'll bring you in to cover Travis Kelce because you could be that guy. You could be like the Patriots' third safety guy who covers big receivers and covers a big tight end. But, what they thought they were ahead of the curve of with this defensive scheme and all that, that's 10 years ago now. That might as well be 100 years ago. Move on. They have to change because now they're really in the predicament of, like we've talked about, can't stop the run unless they outnumber it, can't rush the passer with 4, leaves them to have to play man every now and then. And those guys, they're tall, long corners. They can't change direction. They can't cover anybody man-to-man. And so I don't know. That's why I keep saying I don't think it's going to get fixed, really.
The Seahawks are the only team in the Super Bowl era to start 5-0 despite being outgained by an average of 50 total yards per game. In one way, they have an identity. Their defense is good enough to win because they had an MVP at quarterback, but I wonder if it can be sustained.
I know. Well, the one thing they got going for them, and now this is the first game I saw them kind of die some slow deaths with some of these long drives, right, and everything like that. They need Jamal Adams back, but the one thing they got going for them in every game just about, they create 2 or 3 plays, and it always gives Russell a little bit of an advantage. This game, they kicked the shit out of the Seattle Seahawks for the whole first half. It was only 13-0. So they did a good job in 2 out of those 3 drives holding the field goal. So there you go. You go into halftime, you whoop the shit out of some team, and it's only 13-0, and you know Russell Wilson's on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? So you know you're going to be like, oh, crap, we might have blown our chance to really put them in a stranglehold. So, that's the one thing they got for them is because Pete and Ken Norton Jr. are at least aggressive on the defensive side of the ball, that it does create chaos a few plays every game for the other team, and it's benefited the Seahawks with the 2 turnovers against Miami that helped them. Of course, they scored. They scored a touchdown like 3 out of 5 plays because they drove down, scored a touchdown to start the second half. He threw the interception, or no, he got the strip sack fumble, and then they got the ball back and he threw the interception and KJ one-handed it. So like right now, I think that's about as good as it's going to get for that Seattle defense. I don't think it's going to get much better than that.
They did a good job on Justin Jefferson, who's been so good the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
3 catches, 23 yards, which allowed Thielen to be a little more himself, 9 for 80 and a couple of touchdowns.
They had a few plays, and this is what I did like from Seattle, where they doubled Justin Jefferson. Now, they're a team that usually doesn't do that kind of stuff. They're kind of like, this is what we do, and this is what. But they had a few moments where they're like, wait, they got to throw the ball here. We're not going to let 18 beat us. And, they gave him some issues from that standpoint to where I think Justin Jefferson's put enough on film now where everyone goes, hey, Adam Thielen's good, but this guy's better, and we got to watch out for him. And, that was cool. I mean, again, the Seahawks play hard. They're physical. The scheme, like you've heard me say, it's not great, but they get the most out of their talent, which is I think very average on that side of the ball. And they're having to coach it up even to stop the run plays. They're always having to slant the line one way or slant the other way, and they got gashed on a few plays because everybody slanted one way and one guy messed up and it left a huge gap, and then Minnesota would just gash them for a 10-yard gain or a 20-yard gain. But those are the things they have to kind of risky do right now to kind of make it work every now and then.
Well, Seattle's got 2 major headlines going on right now. The first one's a fun one to watch, and that's Russell Wilson and just his MVP awesome season he's having. But this other one we've been talking about, can this defense, and we brought it up 3 or 4 weeks ago, can they go from poor to average as the season goes on? They haven't yet, but we certainly keep an eye if they can make a couple steps toward that.
I mean, they're having to play 5- and 6-man fronts almost every play right now because they just know we can't stop the run, and they're having to do that. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
Last thing on that side.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kirk freaking Cousins.
Yeah.
He played great.
Yes, he did.
I mean, the throws he makes and is asked to make are so high level. He gets no easy throws. They're not very good at pass protecting, and he still hangs in there and throws. I just wanted to give him a little
credit. I appreciate you bringing that up because we talked about Tannehill's accuracy and Justin Herbert's. Hey, Kirk Cousins made a bunch of really difficult throws routinely throughout that game as well, and doesn't get talked about enough.
No, definitely not. He was phenomenal. I know he had the interception. KJ Wright's a good player too. He made a great one-handed interception. So yeah, it happens, right? Okay.
As for Russell Wilson, we're going to start out here. Kind of break it down into segments here with him, first half to second half. The first half, which was kind of lesser than what we're used to seeing. A question from @Mehmet-305. What specific defense and scheme did Mike Zimmer implement to slow Russell Wilson down in the first half? And I can attach 7 for 7 for only 40 yards.
Yeah.
So 7 for 7 sounds good, but when you're getting 5 yards per attempt, that's a major win to the defense every time.
Well, and when you're not on the field in the first half either, the defense looks pretty good too.
Yeah.
That's the other issue. 12-play, 77-yard drive for over 6 minutes to start the game. 17-play, 64-yard drive.
Ridiculous.
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
17 plays for 64 yards. 10-minute and 13-second drive. Then the next drive is 11 plays for 57 yards. I mean, so that's insane. Now, that was quicker, but, that's the first issue. And then I think the other thing is, Minnesota played coverage. Just like we've heard, it's the theme of the day.
Yeah.
Here we go. They weren't stupid. They didn't play man-to-man. They're a little bit more usually of a single safety defense, whether it's zone or man. They kind of play single safety a lot. Mike Zimmer, I think he finally said, well, listen, I like to outnumber the run and do all that stuff too, but I just can't trust my guys on DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And he played a lot of quarters quarter, half, things like that, to where he tried to keep them in front of them. And then Seattle on a few drives made some mistakes and got behind the chains. And it really was as easy as that in the first half. I wasn't sitting there going, whoa, they're dominating them.
Right.
They were just playing smart. They were making Seattle execute. I think they played a few different coverages in some situations that Seattle was expecting. And they didn't let Russell run around and go crazy. And yeah, Seattle had a few penalties throughout the first half that, put them in some 3rd and 15s and whatever else, and they just couldn't overcome it. So I think that would be the breakdown of that.
So playing coverage worked for them, in addition to the offense hanging on to the ball and scoring with those long drives. But I asked this, and I also want to kind of have us all remember that we talked about Drew Brees struggling in the first half and the second half, really finding a way.
This is it.
What did Russell Wilson do to go from strugglesville, as you would say,
right,
quarters 1 and 2, to really getting it going more as the game got longer?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, first off, the defense created some short fields for them.
That helps.
That's the big thing. They got 2 touchdown drives, 2 plays, 15-yard drive, 1 play, 29-yard run. That was him.
That works.
We'll look back at the end of the day and go, oh, he had 3 touchdown passes. Whoa, he really came on fire there and got them back in the game. But no, I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. Makes the great pass to Metcalf on that first touchdown pass, or his second touchdown pass, first DK one, which was a great throw, like to the left side, kind of like a skinny post or whatever it was. But I can't sit here and say that I saw some magical thing or a different plan of attack from them. Vikings played pretty good on the defensive side of the ball. They didn't give the normal amount of opportunities that maybe other teams do to give Russell to take those one-on-one shots down the field. They played very conservative on the back end.
Should they have done more to contain Metcalf?
Well, I think they did. I mean, again, Metcalf had 3 receptions for 60 yards, all on the last drive of the game.
Right.
And would you ask me, I just can't believe Mike Zimmer went down like that. I think that's where I'm surprised. Not that they had to do it all game, but on the last drive of the game, the one thing I think if I'm Minnesota, I'm going to go, Russell and DK are not going to beat me. Maybe it'll be Russell and somebody else. But I've seen this guy every week do this to a team. What made you think the results are going to be different?
So let's bring up a couple of major what happened here for the theme today. 4th and 10 on the final drive. 4th
and 10 on the final drive is just 2 ballers making a play. All right?
Those 2 being Wilson and Metcalf.
And again, it's one of the few. All right, so and before we even hit this, I just want to make this clarifying comment. There wasn't a ton of one-on-one opportunities. I also think, though, anytime there is one-on-one, Russell Wilson needs to be more aware of DK Metcalf and just take a chance. Who cares? It is because you're getting to the point here where he's not going to get one-on-one very many times every game.
Leads the NFL 22.5 yards per reception.
Oh, he had a double move one time early in the game. Russell ended up getting sacked, I think, on the first drive. He went out and up. Russell should have just thrown it. When Russell was getting ready to throw it, they were even. And I want to just go, ooh, another few weeks he's going to realize, he's even, he's leaving.
Right.
It's going to just throw it out there. He's going to get it. I thought there was a few left on the table that way. But here they are. Yes, what was it, 4th and 10?
4th and 10.
You know what they did?
Who's they?
The Minnesota fucking stupid purple team. They blitzed 5. So there we go.
Wrong number, first of all.
Here we go, blitzing 5. Why? I don't know. We're going to leave one-on-one with Dantzler, a rookie, mid-round pick against what I'm going to say is now the best receiver in football.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Number 1.
I can't deny it. I mean, just what I see. It's just what I see. I mean, how stupid am I that I didn't have him on my top 10 receiver list? What an idiot I am.
Thought you did.
Nope. I chickened out. Okay. I chickened out. With some of the young guys who I was like, they're going into year 2. Let me just make sure they have another good year, solidify them. Like him, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin. I wimped out on all. I might have DK at 10, right? Did I have Metcalf at 10?
Pete?
I had him off.
No.
Right. So I think I had him 11. I think he was the guy.
Coming out of the draft, though, just to go positive.
My number 1 receiver.
Yeah, number 1.
I did. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But all right. So back to the point here. Sorry to you get me talking. And sorry. They're playing man-to-man. They blitz 5. It's one-on-one. You got a rookie corner out there in Dantzler, 27, who's long. He runs a slant and go. So he gives just a little slant nod. Corner does a great job. Doesn't bite on it. He's just 4th and 10. I'm not biting on a slant. Great job. But he plays so far off that Russell and DK recognize it. Like, he's like, wait, I know I am supposed to run the go part here, but we're going to have to throw it 87 yards by the time I get going past this guy. He's so deep. So DK was really smart and almost kind of gearing it down a little bit, and Russell noticing, wait, he's not going to catch that guy. Let me just kind of throw a jump ball and kind of behind the DB, and I'm just going to let my super freak go up and get it. And what did he do? He was a super freak and went up and got it. So that's all there was to that on that play. That's all it was. It was just, our guy's better than yours. You've blitzed me. He's one-on-one. Good thing you blitzed me. Man, I would rather have that guy out there doubling him.
Right.
But, okay.
And that's an indication. We talk so often about Wilson having excellent touch and accuracy on the deep ball, where sometimes it's just a feel of where to put it. It's not hitting a guy in stride.
Exactly.
It's that instinct of, this is the kind of ball that he's going to catch. It's not the perfect one. It's
Right.
just put it up there and let him get it.
I'm going to put it in the spot where we're going to get it. Right. And really, it's like you to me. If I was DK and I was running and you were the DB, like with your, you're kind of turning, I mean, that's where it was. Like, we're going that way. Russell's over there. You were kind of there. That's where Dantzler was with, his hips open like he's running downfield. And Russell sees it. And he goes, all right, I'm just going to kind of throw one up and let DK go up and get it. And, I mean, DK, it wasn't even – I bet you Russell, when he left his hand, he was probably like, oh, I might have thrown it too high.
Thought it was too much, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he jumped 12 feet in the air, and I swear he paused at the top of the jump and was like, wait, I don't want to come down yet. Stay there for a second. And then he caught it and came down.
Remember 2 or 3 Sundays ago when he was warming up and that we had those great shots on Sunday Night Football, him going up in the end zone and getting it. You're like, oh, that's a cool highlight, but, let's see if it plays out that way in a game. And then at a key moment, that actually came through.
Yes.
Next one on that drive.
Yeah, that's right.
So what happened on the 4th and goal and the game winner?
Well, it's just a simple crossing route, and I'm gonna pull it up so you can watch it with me here, just so we can talk about it together. But first off, they had gone outside, right? They threw an out route to DK Metcalf. He dropped it. They threw an out route to Lockett that Russell Wilson threw a little hard and outside to where he got 2 hands on it, but it would have been a tough catch. Then they threw a fade route to DK Metcalf in the back right corner of the end zone. So they had attacked outside. Hey, we're just going to go one-on-one. Our guy's better than you. And they got into a formation where, let me just get to it here. Here it is, where it's like a snug formation, as you could see, right?
Snug meaning?
Snug meaning like the 2 receivers to Russell Wilson's left are Lockett and DK Metcalf, and they're about, I would say Metcalf is 5 yards from the left tackle, Dwayne Brown?
Maybe. It's pretty
Maybe
tight.
4,
almost
right?
like they're extended tight
They're
ends.
almost extended tight ends, right.
Yeah.
It's a snug. And then, Lockett's in between the tackle and Metcalf as like that slot receiver, and he's, 1.5 yards from the tackle, maybe 2 yards. So they did that, which a lot of the times, too, now if you're a defense, you're worried about, this could expand out, They could end up running one guy in the flat and one guy on the corner route to the corner. What are we going to do there? I don't know, but we'll let it play out. And really, all they did was put DK on the cross. They ran double. They protected with the tight end, kept him in, kept the back in to block. And they ran, I want to say, I'm not sure, that's Swain up top, and a crossing route over the middle with DK Metcalf. Now, the middle of the field's open. The Vikings are playing man-to-man, and the linebackers, for whatever reason, really came up aggressive. This is one thing I don't understand about the defensive call. Like, there's no play-action pass here. What are they going up to, just to stop Russell from running?
And their aggressiveness there to the left, you said middle of the field open. That's what allowed for it to be open.
That's where That's where I just want to go. I don't understand that. So we're going to avoid the middle of the field, basically, to let them throw a crossing route where now it's man-to-man. We got 2 crossers. And Anthony Harris, who's trying to help out in the crosser because he knows 27 Dantzler's in a tough spot here because he could get picked.
And Anthony Harris is the safety who was free
he's
because
free. Right.
the Seahawks only got 4 out.
They only got 4 out.
So he's able to just play center field.
He's just playing center field, and he realizes the pick play's in front of him, and he knows that his guy's in trouble. He makes a great break on the ball. It's just the ball itself was perfect. Right. I mean, it was a perfect throw. And again, they ran a little bit of that green dog aspect where 50 acted like he was blitzed. He got the right tackle to come off the right defensive end and thinking he's going to blitz to tackle him. It left 95, I believe that's Weatherly, unblocked. Or no, that might have been, I can't say his last name, 95 in the Vikings. Pete, you're going to have to help me with that
We'll
one.
just stay with 95.
Yeah, but 95. But look at this. This is the other thing that I think is brilliant of this. The guy that's a free runner, 95, Russell Wilson makes him pause just a little bit with like a little head and shoulder fake to where he stopped running for a second to give himself an extra time to throw. And watch, you'll see it a little
And he
more.
was rushing free.
Totally free. But
No
see
one
how he
blocked
did
him.
that right there?
Yep, yep.
And he paused because he was like, wait, is he going to try to throw this around me or set me up and make a move?
Or is he going to run?
And right. Is he going to run? Right. But because they sent that linebacker up into the middle of the scrimmage, again, it was the theme of the week for me. Like, why?
Right.
Why?
Served no purpose.
It did nothing.
He wasn't going to affect Wilson, and he left that space open behind him, which was a space that was vacated.
Well,
for the
that was where
touchdown.
he was. He left. It's just, I see too much of that in football right now. It's driving me crazy. But, ultimately, it just comes down to Seattle once again. They just never give up. They always make big plays when they need to. And no matter how badly they're outplayed or whatever it is, they just continue to kind of compete and find a way. And that's why they're amazing.
And big-time credit to Brees and Wilson for having frustrating days leading up to that. But everybody knows it, from the guys on the other side of the field to all of us watching, that they always have a chance, which is a cliche thing to say.
Yeah.
But they actually have it with those two guys.
I agreed. They really do. If you're not up by more than 20 points, well, first off, this year right now, as we're seeing, 17-point leads are not safe.
Doesn't mean that
There's
much,
no
yeah.
crowd noise. Quarterbacks are as calm as ever, right? There's no anxiety in the stadium. If you're the home team and you're down by 17, you don't hear, boo, you suck, which then causes the coach to call plays that probably he wouldn't call if it was a calmer situation, but now he's feeling the angst of the fans and all that. Or, if you're, the team on the road and you're up by 17, or no, what am I saying? If you're a home team up by 17 or whatever, the other thing too, is just there's no crowd noise. Defensive lines can't get off in these big moments anymore where, okay, our defense, we're up by 17, our crowd, we're at home, they're loud as hell now because we're up 17. D-line's going to get to pin the ears back and get off the line of scrimmage. They have that advantage is gone without any fans.
And just thinking of no fans, just at home too. We've all had little moments where you really recognize it. I thought that was the biggest example yet of all the games of watching where I really missed the fans. Because think about what that would have felt like in Seattle.
Oh,
How
I
it would
know.
have come through your television set with that drive at the end. And as impressive and awesome as it was, it definitely wasn't quite what it would have been had you had that reaction. And I've been aware of it watching all the games, but I thought it was just very obvious and something missing there.
It stinks. It stinks for those moments. You're right. Because it's you want to watch the 12s in that stadium.
Right.
The screen shakes sometimes. They yell so loud.
Right.
We've missed that game, the Patriots game at the 1-yard line. That would have been another one where you're just like, man, Seattle, that place would have fell to the ground. It would have gone so crazy.
One more game before we get to quarterback Jeopardy, which is there are going to be a couple that get you. I don't want you to feel badly.
Oh, good. You're just telling me. We'll see about that. I don't know. I'm not just going to fold.
Mentally ready.
I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to fold the tent just because you said that. All right. I'm going to keep battling.
I just want to see if I can get into your head a little bit here.
Oh, Pete Carroll coaches me in my brain. It doesn't. We just compete. We just keep going.
All right, last game. Steelers beat the Eagles 38-29. We have to start with Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
Question here from J Harp, 3597. Claypool, how did he take advantage of the Eagles defense so easily? Is it scheme related, or is he just that much of a freak that no one could cover him?
He is that much of a freak, and no one could cover him. That's the bottom line. The scheme for Pittsburgh right now does not impress me. I don't sit there and go, oh, wow. Now, where they were good is, they're aggressive. And at times, Philadelphia almost plays man-to-man coverage every play now. It's like ever since they got burned by Sean McVay and some of the things he was doing on the offensive side of the ball, Shorts is just like, I'm going to keep it simple.
That's been going on for the last couple of years.
It definitely has. And that's all they're doing. Now, they're better at playing man-to-man and all of that. But, the offense itself, I don't sit there and go, oh, wow, they're doing a lot of great things. Now, that last touchdown catch he had up the middle, that was all Big Ben and Claypool. That was a total Big Ben realized what coverage they were in, and he told everybody what to do because he knew he had found the flaw in the matrix.
Yeah.
And he was, oh, wait, if I do these little routes, which he basically took advantage of quarters coverage. The guys on the outside ran hitches. The slot guys ran corner routes to keep the attentions of the safeties and quarters, which now puts the middle linebacker in the middle of the field one-on-one with Chase Claypool. And he acted like he was going to kind of run over the middle and catch one,
right,
and then ran up the field. And the safeties who were looking at those corner routes had widened a little bit, and they could not recover by the time they realized they were being tacked up the middle.
And I want you to keep going on that play, which was his 4th and final touchdown. But they kind of had him by formation. It was trips, 3 wide receivers to the left of Roethlisberger, and all 3 receivers kind of spaced out all the way to the sideline with Claypool almost lined up like where the tight end does. And the far receiver was Smith-Schuster, which they were most concerned with. So from there, now that we kind of have a picture in our head of that formation, walk us through what happened.
Yeah, right. And you're right. It's Claypool out to the right. They got, I think, James Washington in the slot over there. And, oh, wait, hold on. I'm a playoff. I'm a playoff. Sorry. Here we go. Yeah, you're right. But it's still to the right side here. You got, let me make sure I got this right. All right. He's got Claypool to the left of the inside of the 3. Schuster in the slot, 14 all the way out on the left. On the right side, he's got, I believe it's Washington at the slot, and then the tight end Ebron outside. And like I said, this is a play where we call these jerk routes. But it's basically, those 2 slot guys, Juju and Washington, ran those 7 routes, corner routes, to make sure the safeties, you catch their attention. Oh, no, he's running at me, and oh, he's kind of breaking out. I got to kind of shadow that way as he goes. And by the time they realize it, they've been exposed up the middle. We called it a jerk route because you were going to make the Mike linebacker look like a jerk.
Right.
He couldn't be right. It was a 3-way go. It was really a 4-way go. You could stop in place. You could kind of stop and then cross his face, or you could act like you're going to run a shallow cross and stop and come back up the other way. And if you got this coverage, you are alerted to, you can take it up the middle of the field. And Big Ben knew right away with his formation and everything, the way they lined up, he was getting this coverage, and that was all him that made this play happen.
I'm sure Big Ben couldn't get that ball snapped quickly enough. When you realize that you have a receiver manned up on a linebacker, I mean, like, yes, please. Can I pay you to do this more often?
No doubt.
My question is there ever a situation for a defensive back and the safety who could have helped out the linebacker covering Chase Claypool spent all of his extra attention looking at Smith-Schuster? Is it on him at the snap to be like, okay, I know that Juju is their number 1 receiver, but I also know that Chase Claypool is going to kill this linebacker. I'm gonna go to him first before I worry about Smith-Schuster.
No, because he's probably hasn't even had to really think about this type of route yet in this coverage. Now, this will be something from going on they're going to be alerted to, and the safeties probably will make a call of like making sure they don't spread too wide or something like that, because they spread too wide. Both of them do. They're so worried about that slot receiver, or like you're saying, Smith-Schuster on this side, to where it just leaves too big of a hole on the middle of the field. Now, they're running this coverage not thinking that, I bet you there's not a lot of like film that shows they send a guy up the middle of the field on these type of routes, to where they were playing the percentages thinking, most of the time they run a shallow cross or something short with that guy, and our middle linebacker, 47 Jerry, he'll be okay there. But obviously they found a flaw within the scheme itself in that play, and they're going to have to either check out of that coverage next time they're in it in that type of formation, or be alerted to having to have it changed up a little bit with how they defend it. And that could be maybe telling the corners to, hey, you got to just make sure you drop back. Don't take the cheese on anything short. That 7 route's going to come to you, that corner route. And we got a linebacker out there who's going to run to the flat to get that short route anyways. They have to play it off better as a whole unit there to defend it in that coverage at least.
Thinking about change in defense against the Steelers. And Pete, let me know if you come up with who the Steelers are playing next. But how are teams going to have to play them differently now defensively because of what they saw? So it's the Browns.
Yeah, they got the Browns,
so
right.
What does Cleveland do differently? What's changed with their thought process now? What they can do against that Steelers offense now that everybody has seen what Claypool can do?
Yeah, well, Cleveland is they're not a big man-to-man team either. We're going back to the Seattle scheme in Cleveland. That's what they are.
A lot of teams doing that.
I know. It's Joe Woods. He came from San Francisco. He at one time was in Tampa with me and Gus Bradley and all of them, and went with Shanahan to San Francisco. Now he's here in Cleveland. Now they have a front four that's real in Cleveland, so that'll be a big-time issue. And they don't give you a lot of throws in the middle of the field. So that'll be 2. Now, so this will be a totally different game plan altogether. Let me just say this. I'm not necessarily impressed with Pittsburgh's offense. Pittsburgh's offense is still a work in progress.
What do you think of Roethlisberger?
I mean, he's playing well. But I don't look, to me, their biggest, I just don't know. I'm really not sure what they are on offense yet. I think they're kind of a work in progress. They can't run the ball at all, really. They don't ever get underneath the center anymore. It's always shotgun every play.
It's a lot of quick catch and release from Ben, too.
It is a lot. That's exactly right. So, I just don't know. I don't know always what's trying to be done. He's a great thrower. And
are you seeing signs of age or that surgery?
I can't say I am at all. I mean, I feel like, the deep balls and everything like that are pretty damn good, right? There's enough pace on every throw. I mean, I'm certainly not anything with him physically. I just think that they're very one-dimensional. They really are. And I think that right now they kind of realize they can't run the ball, and they're just going, hey, let's spread it out and let him make the decision and go from there. But it's why they've had a hard time putting teams away, too. Because they can't run out the clock. They almost have to throw it.
Right.
And it's letting teams, when you have a 31-14 lead or the lead they had against the Giants or the Broncos, kind of slowly creep back into the game because they're not running the ball or putting a team away with that one extra score to kind of end the game.
Other quarterback, other offense, Carson Wentz. Let's start with this question from Vibe Higher 1. Was this Carson's best game of the season?
It was pretty damn good. It was. I mean, there was a lot of good in it.
I know.
I mean, there's a lot of unbelievable throws.
This offense is all him.
It's all him.
Superman cape. Let's see what you can do.
Right. And it's him and Fulgham now. I mean, that's it. I mean, they're the only 2 guys on there, but, again, I know Miles Sanders had the 74-yard run. Okay, but he had 10 rushes for 6 yards after that.
Right.
So I don't look at that as going, oh, that's a good running day. Yeah, you hit them with a draw play on an all-out blitz on 3rd and 10. What the are we doing, Pittsburgh, once again? Here we're back to it again. Here we go again. All right? I'm so sick of over-blitzing.
Right.
Bothers me.
Thinking about the Steelers' defense, pause for a moment. This is from @Reed-Shoe. Is the Steelers' secondary struggling? Are we not running the scheme or communicating well, or an overreaction by fans?
No, I think some unnecessary blitzing.
They blitz an NFL high 50% of the time.
Yeah, it's too much. They don't need to. What's the point of paying all these great pass rushers if you're doing that? What's the point of having 4 great pass rushers if you're bringing in a 5th all the time? That makes no sense to me. I understand the thought process. See, they're trying to bring 5 because they want to get like 5 one-on-one matchups. Mm-hmm. But if it's not just steamrolling those 5 or one of those 5 one-on-one matchups, again, it goes back to everything we've talked about in the podcast so far. Okay, yeah, you brought 5. It didn't really get there any quicker. Now there's this huge hole in your zone defense, and you're screwed. Or you're playing man-to-man, and you're not that good at man-to-man. They picked on Joe Hayden this game.
Yeah, they did.
Big time. I mean, whenever there was man-to-man, they went, we're throwing the 23.
Why?
Because they don't think he can run, which is definitely a legit question. Whether he has – it's always been a question, but especially at this part of his career. He's an amazing zone player. He's a great tackler. He's got great instincts. But when it comes to pure man-to-man cover skills, he struggles a little bit.
And they're asking him to do that a lot. I mentioned that they blitz an NFL high 50% of the time, but just to give an idea, some perspective there, the NFL average is only 29%. So it's not like they're doing it a little more than average than most teams. They're doing it a hell of a lot more.
They're and with Dupree and Watt and Tuitt and Hayward, they just don't need to. And they're really creative with some of their zone coverages and things they do.
More times than not, it's working for them.
It is. There's no doubt. Well, they're winning, but I don't think they're maximizing on how good their defense is right now. The fact that you let Jeff Driscoll and everybody had the ball at the 10-yard line to win the game, or Daniel Jones and that shitty offense was moving down to come back and do it, or, even the Eagles, being as close as it was for a while, got to 31-29. Right. That to me, yeah, they're winning the games, but they're not maximizing.
So if you could make one alteration to get them closer to maximizing their talent, what would it be?
That would be it. Would just be stop go blitzing. Into the 3- and 4-man rush. Do some of the things we talked about with Tennessee.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy blitzed, this guy dropped out. It's still a 4-man rush. Do all of that. That's to me their greatest gift is this is what has made them, awesome in some years, is because it's like you're talking about again. You've already brought this up. I don't know what they're doing here.
It's the whole
Who's
thing.
come in, and then they're great at disguising and doing crazy coverages behind it. So you used to get a double whammy. And it just seemed like the week of needlessly blitzing across the NFL. We're going to blitz. I don't know why, just because we practice it, and I feel like I got to call it.
Right.
And I don't know.
Maybe teams will pay attention to the ones that are having the most success or going with the confusion and the indecision and the combination man and zone coverage.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the way to go right now. I do. I don't think you're doing yourself any justice by blitzing and being a man-to-man all the time, unless you have just, hey, the Baltimore Ravens, I get it. They got 2 all-pros at corner.
Right.
Even the Patriots, I can understand them doing it, but they don't ever do that. They don't. They're more of like, play man, and then we'll have a bunch of other guys play zone around it, or we play all man, or we double guys and all that. So Steelers defense, to me, is just the big issue there. We talked about Joe Hayden. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the Steelers played so much man-to-man in this game. I know why they played so much man-to-man in this game, because they probably felt like there's no way that these receivers could beat us, this group. And because they played they flirted with danger a little bit, in my opinion, because of that, to where I would have liked to just see. They got caught, I think, with this. Sorry, I know I'm rumbling, but I think they thought, okay, we can match them up man-to-man. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing they were probably a little worried about with their zones. Philadelphia, we've talked about this a lot, has 9 million ways to throw the ball 6 yards. Yeah. And I think they were a little worried that, like, oh, they're good at that aspect. This is the only thing they're good at, actually. Them jamming a ball into Ertz, them jamming a ball into this guy, blah, 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 blah. I think they were afraid of dying a slow death that way, to where we're playing all these zones and it's great, but he's getting the ball out of his hands quick and they're sitting in the right holes to where we can't stop it. That would be at least what I would think.
Travis Fulgham, is he that good or just a one-game aberration?
He's pretty damn good. No, he's pretty good, damn good. I've seen more than, the last 2 games have been pretty damn good, to where I go, no, I think they got something here. You don't want him to be your number 1, I don't think. No, you don't. But he would be a great number 2, or that awesome slot guy who can kind of do it all. I think he's certainly solidified himself as a part of this offense as we go forward. Now, let me just see if I messed out anything else. I don't, the all-out thing, again, they let up another touchdown on the all-out blitz, too. I just want to make sure we get that. The third TD of the game that gave them 22 points, the 8-yard pass to Greg Ward. Another all-out blitz. Don't understand it. Don't get it. They were having great success playing coverage. And I guess that's it.
I think you're just stalling for the inevitable
No,
stumped
I'm not.
in quarterback Jeopardy.
Oh, yeah. All right. But no, it was just all of that. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything, and I'm trying to, make sure I hit it all. You know me. I write all these damn notes. But here's just to sum it up. I just wrote, what's the point of having the great pass rushers if you don't rush 4? And then, I wrote Wentz, this is like my synopsis at the end. I wrote, say what you want. Wentz made some unreal throws. And then I just wrote, okay, so at what point do you just say, okay, Wentz is hot. Let's stop playing man-to-man and go back to our zones, okay? Especially when they have backup offensive linemen playing. Why are we letting them off the hook, too, by letting our quarterback throw the ball all the time? Make them protect for a little time. Make Wentz read something. This is why, the Rams play zone defense, because they go, we want the quarterback to read something real quick, because Aaron Donald will be there by the time he reads it. Yeah. And that's how I think Pittsburgh needs to take that. Then I wrote, I hate blitzing in the red zone. They gave up the TDs. And then 31-29. Yep. Games in the clutch. Here we go. Biggest drive of the fucking game. You know what Pittsburgh does? They don't blitz once. What do? Stop them. They had to punt the ball. They go down and score.
Maybe
game
it was
over.
all part of the grand scheme.
I don't know, but I'm just so sick of it. You could see it bothered me this week.
It would be fun if the Steelers-Browns was a kind of game, really good one this weekend that we're going to talk about next week. And we can get into if they changed it up at all, if they blitzed a lot against Baker.
I'll be looking. Don't you worry. I will be watching to see what they do. Yeah, but it's bothering me. They're not maximizing what they are as a defense right now. They are, without a doubt, one of the best defenses in football. They're letting up too many points in yards.
Could be even better.
And just over my evaluation, that would be the issue to me.
All right, I'm writing a note here to revisit next week if
Great.
we can.
Way to go. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Here it is. Quarterback Jeopardy.
Let's do it.
In the interest of full disclosure, I rolled these out and sent them to Pete,
Yeah.
and Pete kind of doctored them up a bit. He thought they were a little too hard.
Oh, he thought they were too hard.
Rearranged a little, threw in a couple hints for you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
No,
Pete,
he's probably
Pete, you want to add anything? No, he said he had to dumb it down.
Gotta dumb it down. Is that a blonde joke? Is that what he's trying to do there? Are you trying to be a jerk there?
Better a blonde joke than a gray joke out here on this set. Okay, QB Jeopardy, because we both enjoyed Tuesday Night Football so much. We're emphasizing the Tuesday. All the questions and answers are going to roll into number 2 in some way.
Oh, okay. I like it. That was my old number, too.
There you go. I should have thought of that as well.
Excuse me.
Okay, so for 100, thinking about that number, dose. What quarterback drafted 2nd overall leads the NFL in interceptions? He was the 2nd quarterback drafted.
It's amazing how the easiest things, sometimes you're like, wait, who is picked number 2?
I had an easier one for 100. Okay, just so you know.
Don't tell me, and I'm not cheating, all right, just so you know. I'm just looking at teams.
I trust you.
You know how I do it.
I do trust you. So what quarterback who was drafted 2nd overall in his class leads the
2nd
NFL
overall in
interceptions?
his class.
There's the 2, yeah.
2nd overall in his class. Oh, my gosh. I know I'm totally missing this right now. This is a really obvious one.
And I'm going to throw in this hint. There's a real segue here from what we were talking about to this very fun part of the show.
What? See, you're confusing me now.
Leads the league in picks.
2nd quarterback. That's what's really getting me here.
He was the 2nd quarterback taken in his class recently. Segue.
Deshaun Watson?
No, not Deshaun Watson. From we were this flows well from what we were just talking about.
Like the last game we were just talking about? We were just talking about, Carson Wentz.
Yes.
Duh.
Pete.
Good job. No, I don't get it.
Pete says no.
I don't deserve it.
Pete said no.
Holy crap. I don't know why he didn't register in my brain as the 2nd quarterback drafted. He was the 2nd pick in the draft, too.
2nd pick in the draft.
Damn it.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
That's really not all right. That is not all right. I knew I thought he was leading the league in interceptions, too. Who's leading the league?
He is.
Oh, he's leading it. Okay,
Leads the league in picks, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's okay. There's 4 left.
Shit.
We got 4 left. All right, for 200, this quarterback is 32, only threw 2 incompletions Sunday, and is now a popular topic of conversation throughout the NFL.
Wow.
32, team number 2 in his career, only 2 incompletions on Sunday, and now he's a major part of NFL headlines as we look to the weekend.
I hate you. I really do.
I had this for 100 originally.
It's amazing. I'm sure. You know what makes me?
I told you this was hard.
I know it gets me. Read it one more time. Say that one more time.
This quarterback is 32.
Yeah.
So let's before we move on to anything else, 32.
Yeah, 32
so think
years
about
old.
that kind of vintage.
Yeah.
He's on his 2nd team in his NFL career, and now he's like a major part of what's going on. He's a giant part of what happened this past weekend. He's tied into it. And now people are there's a lot of anticipation to see how he'll do this weekend. And that's new for him this season.
Holy shit. 32 on his 2nd team.
2nd team. And this is the first week where his name is really even thought of.
I can't even. I got to look at I'm pulling up the games from last week, just going what am I missing here? 32 years old. 2nd team starting.
This is his first season with his 2nd team.
I mean,
he was in the background big time the previous 4 weeks.
And he only threw 2 incompletions.
Only 2 incompletions.
Oh, Alex Smith. No,
that's a good guess.
Yes, but it's not him.
It's not him.
Damn it.
Andy Dalton.
Holy crap! It didn't register in my brain. Didn't register.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I'm looking at Dallas game right here, and I'm going, wait, not Dak Prescott.
You're even looking at the Cowboys.
I was sitting there going, right here, I'm going, hey, it's not Dak Prescott, all right?
No one's going to remember the first 2 questions if you hit 3, 4, and 5.
I don't, listen, I'm having fun either way.
Think about what Drew Brees did in the first half this
You're
weekend.
right, I can bounce back.
Okay,
here we go.
300. 2 teams have had 2 starting quarterbacks win a game this season.
Two teams
Name
have had two starting quarterbacks win games this season.
Yes.
Okay. I should be able to get this.
Okay.
I would like to think so, at least. All right. So, nope, it's not the Chargers. I was almost going to blurt that out. That doesn't make sense.
Right. Two teams.
Yeah. Two starting quarterbacks.
Two starting quarterbacks. So they've both been big stories for different reasons. One team started two because of injury.
Yeah, so the 49ers.
There you go. There's one.
Right.
Jimmy G and Nick Mullins. And the other one just flat out benched a guy and put the other one in.
Oh, and that's the Bears.
There you are.
Yeah.
Now we're rolling.
There we go.
There it is.
It's still a struggle.
Pete's excited. Woo! Pete's back there wiping his brow.
Off the schneid is right.
Okay, for 400.
Yeah.
This quarterback was the second quarterback taken in his class, but wasn't drafted until round 2, and is currently on his second team in the NFL. He also has his team on a 2-game win streak.
Woo!
Okay. I thought this one should be 500.
Yeah.
I thought this was the hardest one on the list.
It's all right. Read it. I just got to hear it again.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
So this quarterback.
Second quarterback taken in
his class.
But it was second round.
But wasn't taken until the second round.
Right.
He is currently on his second NFL team, and his team has won 2 games in a row.
Okay.
Pete has serious doubt. Pete, I told you this was the 500 question.
Wow. This is you're going to have to give me a second here.
Okay.
Oh.
I think we can go with a hint. I got it.
Wait, I got it.
Should I run through the criteria one more time?
One more time. I want to hear it. I think I got it, though.
Quarterback was the second quarterback taken in his class.
Right.
Didn't go till round 2.
Right.
He's on his second NFL team.
Yeah.
His team right now has won 2 games in a row. And we have talked about him in this show.
Drew Brees.
Pete, he came through.
Thank you. That was hard.
That was a hard one.
That was hard.
I thought about not having it at all.
No, it's good, though. That was a good hard. Don't be afraid of those.
Okay.
That's a good hard. I like that.
So in his class, Michael Vick went first.
Right.
And then Brees didn't. He was a second. There was a run of like 4 drafts in a row, just nerding out on this last night.
Right.
Where like the second quarterback didn't go for a while.
That's crazy.
But yeah, he was a second quarterback taken.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think. I didn't realize. I knew he had been taken with, I think it was the first pick of the second round, right? I think. Right? Something very early.
Pete, was it the first pick of the second? I think it was. I know it was really early.
But
first pick of the second round.
Yeah.
There you are.
Michael Vick, we know, Pete. He listened to Paul. He already said that.
Pete's got like 9 kids at home.
9 kids. He's got 9 jobs here at NBC too. So I don't know how he does it.
Okay, for 500.
Yeah.
And like this is gravy because you got 3 and 400.
Right.
I thought this I had this like at 200, Pete. Pete thought it should be at 5.
Okay. So I like your guys' fights more than anything here.
500 points. I'm thinking of a quarterback who played professional football for over 2 decades. Throughout his career, he wore the numbers 22, 20, and 2. I'm including the college years there too.
Right. It's Doug Flutie.
There he is.
Yeah.
That's way too easy for 500 points, Pete. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
but nice job. You got 3 in a row.
Quarterbacks that wore 22, there's only been like 0 of them in life. I know. So
I actually had like that
and
some kind of Matt Ryan because he wears 2.
He
for
wears
100.
2 too. Right.
I didn't know which one was easier.
Yeah.
Pete put it at 5.
Yeah.
We need a staff meeting, Pete.
Well, I can't remember. Did I get those first 2 wrong? I can only remember the last 3 I got right. I Drew Brees'd it.
Yes, you did. And Russell Wilson did. Yeah.
Yes.
You won in the end. That's all
what
that matters.
I did. Yep. I like it. Don't be worried about being too hard. That's okay. I don't give a shit. I don't have an ego. I might mess it up, whatever.
It's nice when it's a mix of the layup and the fadeaway.
You had me stressing today on some of those, though. I mean, I'm not that smart. Like I said, I'm from Jersey. I'm blonde, and I play football. It's a bad combination.
Especially with that segue hint. The Steelers, Eagles.
Gosh.
Right into it, yeah.
Holy crap. I couldn't think of it.
It's all right.
All right, that's it.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you,
man.
That
was fun.
Oh, yeah, always fun. Always fun. That's it for our What the Happened Wednesday. Thursday, the PFT PM Chris Simms Unbuttoned Game Picks collaboration podcast. That'll also be on Peacock at PFT PM at 5 o'clock on a Thursday.
It's everywhere.
We'll be back for that. And you, back in the fold, you staying on What the Fuck Happened Wednesdays for the most part?
I'm in as long as you guys will have me. Pete, what'd you say?
He's on a Monday.
So I'm in Monday next week?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I doing Wednesday too or just Monday?
The Mondays, okay?
Just Monday.
All right.
Pete and I have to meet.
All right, you guys meet it up.
Yeah.
All right, get ready. Everybody be good out there. We'll be back. Keep sending your questions through Twitter, anything. Seriously, want to get into more specifics, would love to. Break stuff down, whatever you want. I'm always game. But stay safe out there. Check out the Picks Pod. We're doing okay, me and Florio. You might make some money if you listen to our best bets.
Who's doing better?
He's beating me in the best bets. I'm beating him in everything else.
That's fair.
Okay, good. All right, good. Just want to make sure. All right, peace out.
Good to see you.
See ya.
See you. Peace.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.